Hey, it's the big motherfucking baby. And I'm back for the third time this week. Yeah, third time this week, and I still got more content coming, man. But, I have been having conversations with people. We have pressing issues that people want to talk about. And, when people want to speak on things, I think it's important to speak on them, especially in a time like this when we're talking about what an ally looks like. It's very important to get good information out so that, we don't lose sight of what's important. So I have a special guest here, my guy, Twan Terrell. Hey, what's happening, Twan? Welcome to Big Baby's podcast.
Thank you for having me, AC, or Big Baby. I know you're as AC, but now you're Big Baby.
You can call me AC.
I grew up with you as AC, AC the bully.
I was not a bully. Let's not put that narrative.
AC don't want that. He don't want that narrative out there, but he was one of them bullies back in the day.
I used to crack jokes and have fun,
Sometimes those jokes got a little physical, depending on how I talk back.
Hey, man, you know what? We've grown up and we're in a good place now, right?
Yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, people are afraid to talk about it. I love those whoopings I got. Like, it made me a stronger man, made me better, got me prepared for the real world. So I'm appreciative of those lessons y'all taught me.
And to be honest, of the young niggas who we taught lessons to, you're one of the ones I'm the most proud of because you went on to do great shit. Like went to Cornell, you're doing well for yourself, and that's what's really important. It's about teaching the youth, even when they're your age bracket, hard lessons, but wanting them to be great and not trying to hold them back at the same time.
Yeah, and I think why like you guys did beat us up, you guys, but it was always a lesson or a story to it. It wasn't just pointless like we're mad, we're aggressive, we're just beating you guys up. It was like, no, you messed this up. We're gonna teach you a lesson right now. You learn from it and you grow from it. And yeah, you guys always wanted me to see me shine though. It was always in respect, and even you were always a big supporter of me early too in life. And you were just like, you smart, you smart. You're gonna do great things.
Yeah, bro. Once I noticed what classes you was taking in the group of people you were around, I was like, okay, you ain't like the rest of these niggas. Like you have the potential to do more. And when you see potential, you just don't want that to go by the wayside, because how many people do we know right now that are back at home who are immensely capable,
Yeah.
but they haven't been able to apply it to their lives?
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that hurt me the most is because I know as a person that I'm not more talented than the next. I worked hard and I got a lot of life breaks and I learned from those lessons. But there are so many people around me. I saw like that person's just as smart as me. That person runs just as fast as me. That person does, but for some reason they made different choices. Their lives didn't go the same way, and it's kind of like it kind of hurts you when you see that happen because you want to see everyone around you make it. I was never one of those people that was like, I'm shining, bump y'all, I'm out. Like, I want to see the next man make it as well because that's how we pull ourselves together as a community. So, like, yeah, I went to Cornell. I'd love to see the next black person from Woodland High School go to Harvard, go to Yale, go to Princeton. Like, keep the ladder going up, and that's how we just keep advancing as a community by the next person just raising that bar.
And the funny thing is, it's really about growth, because there was a span where you and I weren't on the same page, right?
Yeah.
And I remember this tweet. This shit was the funniest shit in the world. Like somebody tweeted about their boyfriend going to Morehouse, and then you tweeted something about your ex going to Cornell. And
Yeah.
I saw that tweet, and I was like, that's my young nigga right there. Even though the shot at me, that's my young nigga.
Yeah.
That's what I like.
Yeah, that's one thing I picked up from you guys. Always speak your mind, never hold back, and it's gotten me in trouble at times. But I will say the people that are around me are like we know what we're gonna get from you. We know you're gonna speak your mind. We never question you. They know my loyalty is to them. But I'm gonna say what I want to say.
And that's the thing, man. Like I was having a conversation recently, and I was talking about somebody, and the person was like, "Isn't that your friend?" I'm like, "I can talk shit about you, and it doesn't change how I feel about you." Like,
Yeah.
I still think you're a good person.
I think it's
I
I
can be
think
like, you an ugly motherfucker, but still doesn't mean I don't like you.
this is a concept that females often struggle with more than males because they fall out and they're through for forever. They hold grudges. They don't talk. But like, yeah, men, we fall out all the time. I mean, Ronnie used to say your best friend isn't your best friend if y'all ain't never fought before. And it's a thing that you do. You gotta fight. If you don't hold your friends in check, I don't want you to be my friend. If you're that friend, I got a booger in my nose, and you don't tell me, you let me walk around, and a stranger got to tell me you've been next to me this whole time. I don't want you as a friend, and that goes for deeper life things as well. Like you got to be able to call your friends out.
Exactly. Like if you can't call your friends out when they tripping, how can you call out people that you don't know when you see something wrong? And I think that's a great segue into what we're here to talk about, because the conversation that we want to have is, what does a white ally look like? And everyone knows why we're having this conversation. And we look at different forms of allies. And coming from where we come from, Cartersville, Georgia, it's very conflicting when you're dealing with some of the more racial issues that you see, because you see people who you have a personal relationship with, who you actually are cool with and you have some form of love for, but you never really knew how they felt deep down about your people. You know how they felt about you, and it was always love and respect. And then you see issues of race, and not that they're just quiet, but they're loud, pushing an agenda that's dismissive of racism in America.
Yes. And so my thing is, when I see this, especially from people I grew up with, especially like you said, guys I may have been more close with, guys I played football with, guys I've had dinner at your house, I've been on vacation with you, I've been around your family. So when it comes to those guys, I try not to hold it against them. That I just think is ignorance. That's how I chalk it up. I don't think it's a personal thing. I chalk it up as ignorance, and they've never had anyone explain it to them. So like I know girls I talk to, or even my friends, are just like, you're a Facebook warrior. And I'm like, no, I just want to help educate people that have no idea about things that they're speaking on or not speaking on, just because they don't know. They haven't had these experiences. They haven't been around black people. They haven't been in these communities. All they're getting their information from is Fox News. So like, if all you do is watch Fox News or every day around a bunch of like-minded people, you're only going to have one concept of things, and you're going to have a bubble, and you're going to fight hard for that narrative. But you might need that one person on the other side that could really break it down to you and let you know, like, hey, this is why that thinking is bad. But not only is this why it's bad and problematic, here's why. That's the thing. A lot of people have these blanket statements I see, and it's like, no, you have to break it down. You have to give why. You have to give points. You have to make it relatable. You have to give it a story. You have to give it an anecdote so people can tie into it. And that's what I try to do.
And that's the thing. You have to make it real for people, because sometimes I read and see things, and I'm in a place now where I can chalk it to, oh, yes, that is rural Southern ignorance. It's not even malicious. Yeah. It's just rural Southern ignorance. So it's like, how can I get this message across to you in a way that lets you know that you're ignorant to something without being disrespectful towards you, so that you can understand, so we can have discourse and move forward? Because oftentimes we see the blatant statements. We see people talk about cooning and stuff like that, and trying to put everybody in one box. And it's like, look, you can't be mad at a white person for putting you in this one black box, and then you're going to in turn put a white person in one box.
In the same box. In the same box.
You're guilty of the same thing. You're just not in a position of power to incite the change that you want. Yeah. And it's like, instead of you wanting equality, you wanting fairness for all, no, you just want to switch places.
Yeah.
And if you want to switch places, say that, but don't mask it as a cry for equality when you actually want superiority.
I see, and my thing is, I go super hard sometimes, and people are like, to some white people, it can seem like, hey, you just hate white people. And I'm like, no, I've had so many good white friends, and people, like, I wouldn't be at this point I am in my life without white people in my life. I lived with a white family in high school. I've A lot of my teammates were white in college, and they looked out for me. They would help me out if I couldn't do things. So like, no, I
You
have
went to Cornell.
yes, yes. So I've been around, and like, it's just that like I can't stand these people though are educated and they're willing to learn, and like if they don't know something, they ask and they want to get your insight. They're like, hey, you've been in this position, you've lived in these communities, and that's what I respect. I don't like the ignorance of, like you said, or just comply. Like that's so dumb to me, man. Like, does that work in some situations? Yeah, there are some situations where all they should have done was comply. Yes, but are there situations where cops abuse people, or cops are killing people, cops are murdering people? Yes, but you're not speaking on those situations. You'll speak on the comply situations when they're irrelevant to that, and it's like, okay, I can see that happening, but that's the only thing you speak to. What about the ones where they comply and they still get killed? You never say nothing about those. Like, those are the people that that make me even more mad. I hate the halfway in, halfway out people. Like, at least the people all the way out, I can. They're blunt about it, and I know where you stand. But if you're one of those people, half in, half out, sometimes you're on our side. Like, no, those are the allies we need, though. Those are the people. When I came to you, and I was like, these people think they are allies, and they think they're like working with black people, but you aren't.
Exactly. And it's what the Bible talks about. If you're lukewarm, God's gonna spit you out.
Yeah.
Hey, be with it or be against it. But the key thing is having an open mind and being open to learning, and understand that none of us have the answers. Like, nobody knows the correct answer. So like, what can we do to get moving towards the right answer? And for us in our community, what hurts me a lot is just seeing the crabs in the barrel mentality. And am I guilty of it at times? Absolutely, because I'll see some stuff and I'll be like, yo, these niggas full of shit. Like, what are y'all talking about right now?
Yeah.
And sometimes my approach is wrong. And it's like, hey, look, let's have a conversation. We want the same thing. We want to get to the same thing. We may go a different way. Like, if you're trying to go from Cartersville to Atlanta, you can take 75 or you can take 41. And really, you can take Tennessee Street if you got each path is different, but it's going to get you to where you're trying to go. And if we all can find the path that works for us and push through that path, I think that's very important to progress and moving forward. But the question I have for you is, what does an ally look like to you? What does a white ally look like?
So I would say a white ally to me looks like someone who, someone who wants to learn about black issues and struggle, but doesn't speak for black people on issues and struggles. So that's where it comes into that, because sometimes white allies also overstep, and it's like, okay, I get what you're trying to do here, but you also aren't black. You're talking out of pocket too. So I think it's just someone that wants to learn about why do black people feel this way. They're investing in our community, and they talk, but they don't only just comment on our posts. They don't comment when they see us doing something, or they don't comment when it's convenient for them. They're going to their family who are saying these things. They're going to their friends who they know feel this way. Someone that is a voice to other white people. I would say a white ally is someone that's a voice to other white people to speak on black issues that they have took the time to learn and study about, to help them further understand. The people we won't reach. The people that won't ever listen to us, but will listen to them.
That's fair. So what do you say to the idea that, hey, my grandparents, my parents are stuck in their ways and I can't reach them, so I've kind of given up?
So there is some of that. I do agree. Like, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. But that being said, you can still talk to them about it. I mean, if they refuse to change and they just don't listen, that's just on them. But you can still talk out. You can still be like, call them out when you see wrong. You still got to be able to have a voice and be like, you can't just be like, okay, I'm giving up though. I'm just done. Let them just say or do whatever. You still have to be that person that talks to them and tell them what they're doing is wrong, because they are still influencing younger generations of your family. So now you have to let them know that this is wrong and this is why, and also be a voice to that younger generation that, hey, we don't want to repeat this cycle. Because your mom and grandma, whatever, they feel that way. Guess what? Granny might get corona and pass away, and mama ain't far behind. So like, but but like not to put it so bluntly, but like they're gonna die out. They're leaving. They're gonna die out. So like now let's once they're gone, we can now affect the future generation so it doesn't repeat itself.
So for there's a thought process that as Black Americans we should separate ourselves from mainstream American culture. We should take an approach that is more geared towards building and creating Black only infrastructure and have a community that's pretty much just Black people. How do you feel about that personally?
I understand the sentiment behind it, but like you said, it kind of falls into that. What if a white person said, "Hey, we want to build this town, white people only. None of you black people can come." How I would be upset if someone told me that. If someone would, I would be like, "Fuck that! I'm gonna go to the city anyways." Like just because they said I couldn't. Like I don't think. I mean, we do need to get. Don't get me wrong. We do need more black-owned businesses. We do need to take advantage of more stuff. We do need to start reinvesting. Black people are the biggest consumers. We spend the most money. So, like, imagine now if we're just spending that money within our communities, within each other. That would be great. But but the concept of that we need to just separate all the way from white people. I think that is also just as prejudiced racist as a white person that would say, I want to build my own town where no colored people can come, no Hispanics can come. Like, yeah, like fuck that guy. So yeah, I mean, I feel like it goes like, I mean, okay, I like white people. I don't know. I like white people. I don't hate all white people. I like white people. I grew up around white females. I like white females. Like, like come on. Let's get down to it.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at with them. Like, hey, look, we need to create Black infrastructure so that we can invest in ourselves, and we take the money that we're spending on Nike, Prada, chains, all this shit, right?
Yeah.
And put it back into our community. But socially, look, I love living in San Diego. I love going to the beach bars, and I love going to a nice country bar where they play like Florida Georgia Line country, not line country, but you know the
pop country, the pop country.
Yeah.
The Old Town Road and shit, like yeah.
And another thing another place where I struggle at, especially when it comes to when we start talking about racism, to me it's more of a hate thing. Like I've lived out of the country before. Once you get that experience, I think, and you see that, damn, a lot of people hate a lot of people all over the world just because they're different. It's okay. Yes, we have a racism problem here in America that affects us every day, but there's overall a hate problem in the world, and people just don't like people.
So I was listening or reading something the other day, and it was like a lot of the things we have are first world problems. So like we complain about a lot. Like they said, imagine it's a race. America's way out in front, and the things we complain about are just so far. But they mean so much to us. This is all we know. So like, yeah, like so we don't know about people in Africa that go through apartheid, that kill each other and have child soldiers. Like, just imagine if that's your everyday life. Or there's so much more that goes on in the world. I always say this, dude. And that's why when people are like, "You're always optimistic. You're always happy. Like, you're never down." Like, I was like, "Yo, like, I could get evicted from my house tomorrow. I'm gonna have somewhere to stay. I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be all right." Like, there is just so much more that goes on in the world that I read about because I like to stay knowledgeable on what's going on in the world. And it's just like there's so much more going on in the world that we just aren't privy to or just don't even care about because it's not affecting our everyday life. So we don't like. But yeah, so I just don't want to be one of those people that just look at my problems and make them super big. But yeah, like. We tend to do that a lot in America. We look at these little things that we're going through and think about them as the end of the world, and it's like, but what about that kid starving, or different things like that?
Agreed. It's a weird place to go, and I try to be open and honest. Look, everybody has a set of issues that they care about more. It's okay to care about certain issues and not care so much about other issues. Just be open and honest. I tell people all the time, hey, look, I want the world to be a better place for everyone, because people have to live. People are alive. People have to live here.
Yeah.
But at at the very least, I want the world to be better for black people because I'm black. My kids are going to be black. My family's black. And the closest people in my circle are black. So I want what's best for the people who are close to me.
Yes.
And I'm selfish, but I'm going to tell you I'm selfish. And if you don't like it, well, that's between you and God.
Yeah. And it easily makes sense. You care about the issues that more closely affect you. Like, when people, and like all the time, people try to get me to talk on different things, like talk about global warming. Like, I don't know. I just know kind of what I read about global warming. Nigga, I litter every day. Like, you don't want me going on here preaching about how bad global warming is right now from somebody that litters every day. Like, no, that's just not something that's in my wheelhouse. Just like, it's not something I really care about that much.
I drive an F-150.
Yeah, just something like, yeah, just something I don't care about that much. Like, this is a problem. I think this is a problem for my grandkids. Like, this is something that they're gonna deal with. But like, this is not something that I think is gonna affect me within the next 10 to 15 years of my life, where I think it's gonna be like something major or trivial I need to deal with.
So I've been having a couple conversations, like in text, talking to some people who I really trust and respect about what do we do moving forward, right? Because you post stuff, I post stuff, we have conversations, but it appears that nothing is really changing. We get a little piece of change and we take that as maybe gospel, right? It's like, oh yes, we've had a black president, so that makes us feel like we can't achieve anything. Yeah. And yes, we, like an individual, can achieve any level of success, right? But as a group, we struggle there. So what do you think we should do moving forward as black people to make life better for us? Because I can't make somebody not be racist. I cannot force them to change their mind. But what can we do to try to influence the change that we want to see in the country?
So that's a very good question. And I think the first thing I want to address and say that we shouldn't be doing is what I see happening right now in Minneapolis. Like, that you shouldn't. Where protesting started off good. That was good. Protest, walking the street, like, that's good. But now the looting, the robbing, the burning, all that takes away from the conversation. So now people are on TV talking about how dumb and idiotic y'all look, instead of having the conversation about a guy that was murdered by damn near 4 cops. So we do not want to take away from that narrative, from that story, and by adding this story to it, because then they're going to be like, see, this is why it happens to y'all. Y'all see how black people act? Y'all see how this? I saw people doing that today on Facebook. Like, you see how black people act? You see what they do? You see what they do? And then they cry the victim. And it's like, I wanted to go in on him, but I was like, it doesn't have a point, but I could kind of see where he would say that at. Like, y'all aren't giving them anything good to talk about. Like, it's not like you guys are going out having just silent protests or talking or like marching heavy in the streets. Like, no, you guys have to take it to this extreme. And now it's like, now you get white people talking about how bad black people are, not even talking about the situation.
So that was a conversation I had in a group text earlier, because I personally, you're not gonna catch me rioting and looting. I just think I present something a bit, my skill set's not there, right? But yeah. I think there is a place for creating so much discomfort that you can get change there if it's planned and it's deliberate, right? You're not running through the random Target in whatever part of Minneapolis. You're not looting the hood, but you have planned. You create planned chaos in places that affect the pockets of decision makers. Because the thing that I think we miss in a lot of our protests is that you standing in the middle of the street waving a sign, that annoys somebody, but it just annoys them. But the way to really get somebody to bend to your will is to affect their money or to affect their livelihood.
Yo, so
murder by no means.
No. So I want to talk to your point. You think like I do. I forget we're both logical. Like, a lot of the points you made are a lot of the same things I think about. So I'm literally thinking about this same point the other day, and I was thinking, man, what if every black person in the world, person of color or in America, just walked out of their job? All the athletes, all business, whatever business you're in, whatever industry you work, everyone just everyone just walked out of their job for a week or something. Now, how would America react to that? You don't get sports. Everybody want. What are people crying? They want their sports back. Oh, they love you. They love the athletes, but they don't respect the everyday black man, and that's the problem. They love LeBron James, but they don't respect you and me just walking the streets. Like, so now we gotta take Let's take everything away from them, everything of power. Like you said, we gotta affect their bottom line, and then we'll see what they come to the table with when black people hold out.
Well, one of the problems that I think we have in our community is that our role models are entertainers and athletes, because for so long we've been told that's the pinnacle of who we can be, an entertainer or an athlete. And we relate to the entertainers and athletes. Why? Because we grew up playing sports. Oh, you a funny nigga. Oh, I can sing a little bit. You can rap a little bit. So it's like I see myself in this person, but at the end of the day, we don't get to choose who Nike puts their money behind. We don't choose who the major record labels put their money behind. So now these people become the spokespeople of our community, but they don't have the knowledge, nor have they lived the life into adulthood to understand the true struggle that we endure.
I think it's crazy for me because I love sports, but I never really wanted to be a professional athlete. Like, I mean, at points in my youth I did, but as I got older, it's like, is it really worth it? Everything you do is on Front Street. You're like, you tear your body down. A lot of them end up broke. Like, so it was like, that's why the decision for me to go play football at Cornell was easy. Like, people were like, you don't want to consider playing somewhere else. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna go play at Ivy League school, and I'm gonna go get a job, and I'm gonna work. I'm gonna get a good. Like, most of the people in their lives are gonna be workers. Like, it's just the end. Like, that's the way life is. Like, I'm gonna go set myself up to succeed the best way in America I know how, and that's getting an education and going to corporate America. Like, and I don't think there was nothing for me. That was like, I didn't want to be a professional athlete. I didn't want to be an entertainer. I wanted to go get a great education at a great school. I think education, for me, more so than wealth, I think education is how you affect your family's financial situation, just your family in general. So, like, I wanted to go get the best education I knew how, and like I said, now my kids are, and I'm probably gonna have a wife who went to a good school or went to school. So, like, now I went from a kid who had two parents that didn't go to college to now my kid is gonna have two parents that did go to college. So, like, now my kid is set up way more to succeed. Like, now we know what it takes. We know what ACT, SAT is. We know how to get you ready. We know the classes you need to. We know the extracurriculars. So, like, and now my kid going to be in the point where maybe goes to Princeton, and then it just starts to, for me, that creates that cyclical wealth that people like to see more, and that's the easier way to do that. That's the easier way to do that than wealth, because getting a lot of money, being a professional athlete is hard. Not that many people can do it. Being an entertainer is hard. Not that many people can do it. Going to high school and just paying attention and doing your homework, everybody can do that. Everybody can do that.
Yeah. I think that it's really important. I remember one time we were at football practice and I did something, and one of the coaches was like, if you keep this up, you're not going to play in college. I was like, I don't give a fuck about playing in college. I make straight A's.
Yeah, you used to say that all the time.
Well, yeah, I was a bad locker room influence, but
but I mean, that's how that's how I felt though. Like, yeah, I don't want you to have power over me. Like, those guys that go to don't get me wrong, great D1 schools like Alabama, Florida, Georgia, that's great, but they take that scholarship from you and you're done. That's all you have. So I also wanted to balance it out. Like, hey, who knows? Who's to say I'm gonna be good at football in college? Who's to say? But hey, I still got an academic scholarship. I can still go to school here, even if I don't want to play football.
And that's beautiful, and that's kind of what you want in life. It's setting ourselves up for progression so that we lay the framework for the generation after us. And I think about some of the stuff that's going on locally in Cartersville, right?
Yeah.
I think right now, especially with with it being election season, with the community seeing that, hey, there needs to be change. Like, now is the prime time if you really want to make something happen. And it's not just like in the election cycle, it's making yourself visible to your politicians, to your elected officials, so that they hear you. Because I have an ear to what goes on politically in Cartersville, and I know that Black voices aren't being heard, and because of the makeup of the city, they don't have to be heard that much.
Yeah.
And what kind of eats at me is, you see strong opinions, you see strong takes about what we should do here, there, and everywhere, but then you have it in your face, and it's like, well, what are you going to do to confront what is directly in your face, and how are you going to go about it? And I think that's where I'm at today. It's like, what can I do to impact a community, right?
Yeah.
For one, I care about the Cartersville community more than most, because it's the community that I'm from, and I want to see the people who I can touch, who I'm associated with, be great. But how can we make that grow? And I think there are multiple avenues, and people like us, even though we're not entrenched in the community like we once were, because we've left, come back, we're just in a different place.
For sure.
But we have lessons and knowledge that we can pass down to the people who are there to really get the ball rolling. And I think that's what we have to start doing.
Yeah, and like I said, while we may not live there, my mama still live there, my brother still live there, my sister still live there. Like, so while we may not personally live there, we still have family ties to the community. We know what's going on in the community. Like, we follow these people, we hear these people talking. We know to an extent what's going on in the community of Cartersville. And I mean, I will say it's changing. I see it growing as I go more and more now, but it's still not to the point where it's like I would want to raise my kid there.
Yeah.
And that's a tough call. I wouldn't want to raise my kid there.
Nah, I said I only would like, if I go back to live, it's gonna be like after the second retirement, not the 40-year-old retirement, the 60 plus retirement, where it's just I'm sitting on the back porch rolling up joints.
Because you can get a bunch of land. You can get a bunch of land for cheap. So yeah, in 60s when you just want to, it's over with. I just want to smoke and go out peacefully.
Man, bro, you've been to my house before. Mays Road, the land already there.
Yeah.
I just gotta go. So that's one of those things. Like, Todd and I were talking last night, and I think he's trying to put together something where there becomes open dialogue and relationship building with law enforcement, because there's obviously some law enforcement issues in Cartersville. I'm not going to sit here and say,
to say the least.
I'm not going to sit here and say it's like the worst in the world, because it's not, because the crime's not that bad. So you don't have as many visible issues, but there are issues. And it's like, how can I make my name and face register when you see me if you have to arrest me for whatever reason?
Yes. And it might not, like, it's pretty bad though when you arrest 40, 50 teenagers. How many of them were for like 3 grams, 70 teenagers for 3 grams of weed? Like, that's not even enough. That's better enough for one person to get high. So it's like, yeah, that like, and like when you see I don't know, like I'm blessed. I've never been stopped by Cartersville police or ever had interaction with CPD, or because like you hear about it and you see it, and I've always been wary of that. Like, I do not want to break the law in Cartersville at all. Like, get me back to Atlanta where I want to go and take me that way. I do not want to break the law in Cartersville at all, though.
So I'll tell you a funny story about I don't even remember if it was Cartersville police or if it was sheriff, but either way, it was law enforcement in Cartersville. It's summer 2010. I'm riding around with a couple friends. We got a couple girls in the car, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
white girls?
No.
Okay. You good? That's important to the story. Yeah, that's important. And you and a couple friends, yeah, y'all might have a couple white girls.
I wasn't with my normal group. I was with a different group. So anyway,
Okay.
so we ride in the big Lincoln, and they count 6 heads in the car, and they pull us over saying, "Oh, we saw too many people in here." I'm like, "It's a Lincoln Town car. It fits 6 people. I have 6 seatbelts."
Yeah.
So then they want to see everybody's IDs.
Oh, that's where it always goes to.
They pull out all the IDs and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then they ask Red. This is back when Red had his dread. They asked Red to get out the car. They said he matched the identity of a cocaine dealer. And I'm like, man, we don't even know what cocaine looked like. Bro.
Yeah.
We country niggas from Carsville. We just riding around, you know what I mean? And then the young ladies who were with us, like I was 18.
Yeah.
I think Red may have been 17, 18, and then Ian was 17 for sure. He was 18 years old. And then the girls were somewhere between, they were high school age. I don't know. You know.
Yeah.
They called one of the girls' parents, the number they gave, to say, "Hey, do you know your daughter and her friends and her underage friends are out with adult men?" I'm like, I get that I am legally an adult male, but
you probably still see her in high school. You're not an adult man. I mean, not really.
I just graduated. I'm like,
yeah.
Like after graduation, I'm like, technically I'm an adult, but we all went to school together. Like, stop.
Yeah.
And you're framing it the wrong way. And how does he automatically match a description of some cocaine dealer? Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
So like, I saw that early, and I remember like that summer, I probably got stopped 3 or 4 times. One time was for a missing tag light. Like, bro, you know, if you miss me, like with a missing tag light. Or another time they tried to kick us out of the McDonald's parking lot while somebody was inside eating, getting their food, talking about we're loitering. Like, no, we're waiting on our friend to get our food. They're like, well, where are y'all going? We're all above the age of 18. We don't have curfew. We can go wherever we want to. Yeah. And I'm sober. So like, what's up? So
I mean, I'm not gonna. I mean, and my thing is, I just have been programmed since a younger age by my grandma, and I'm not afraid to talk about it. And yeah, I've been programmed. Like, you keep short hair. I've never had long hair. If you've known me my whole life, always had short hair, wave-length hair. Always kept it cut. Never had beard. No crazy facial hair. I have no tattoos. Like. I'm always in loafers and a button up or a suit or like, and so I never had these interactions, and I think it's because, like I said, my grandma had made sure, like, hey, you want to look this way, you want to walk this way, you want to talk this way, you just want to not put and you shouldn't have to do that. You shouldn't have to be programmed to not be bothered by the police. But to a certain extent, that's how I feel black people have to be. You have to, if you're sagging, you got long hair. You just make yourself a target, and it's sad that is the way it is, but that's how it's viewed.
Bro, I tell people all the time I'm scared of the police, and that's why I think we need more representation in the police force. I think one step moving forward is the police force should resemble the community in which it serves.
Yes.
Like, it should be, we should have a friend that we grew up with that we really fuck with, that's a cop. For one, you know the people, you kind of have your ear to the street, you know what's going on, you know what's petty crime, that's like, all right, whatever, we ain't worried about that, and what's a real legitimate threat. And I think what happens is these police come into these communities and they don't know the community, so it's like, how can you police a community that you don't know? You're applying these one-size-fits-all rules, one-size-fits-all training to an environment that it doesn't always work in.
Yeah, and I agree with this so much. My best friend's a cop, Nero, Rome police officer. Grew up with.
I forget that Nero.
Yeah, Nero's a cop in Rome. We always give him shit about it, but I always tell him I respect the fact that he's a cop because he always like talks to me about stuff that's going on. He's like, man, I had to deal with this crazy kid. I tried to I remember he was telling me he was dealing with this kid that was tripping out on drugs, and he's steadily talking to the kid like, bro, chill out, just go home. They want to arrest you right now. I'm trying to tell you go home. And he gave the dude a bunch of outs the dude chose not to listen, whatever, got arrested. But like that's what we need. So like he gave him that opportunity to like, hey man, calm down. I'm here. They're gonna arrest you if you don't chill out. Like not someone that's coming in guns blazing. Because he could have came in and was like, just place him right under arrest. Didn't even really have to talk to him. Could have just arrested him. Like, no, you need someone that's gonna talk you down. Someone, like you said, that's invested. We grew up in that area. He knows people from Rome. So like, he doesn't want to just throw people in jail.
And I think Nero is a great example of the type of people we need because Nero grew up high school, post high school. He had fun. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like Nero know what it is. You know what I'm saying?
That was my dog. Yeah, that was my dog.
Yeah, he know what it is. But he also understands he has a profession that he has to do, and he does that. But there's the human side of it because he knows people who, you know, got some sketchy backgrounds and are living different lives. But he understands that those are people, and it's more than an individual who you're gonna lock up. No, that's somebody's son. That's someone's boyfriend.
Yeah.
Husband. You know what I mean? So like, shout out to Nero and shout out to Carolina because she made these shirts.
Shout out to the fam. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, like you said, yeah, but more examples of that, like black, and also you need those kind of people too, because the thing that kind of gets me too when I see these things happening with the cops, it's always cops there. And maybe one or two bad cops doing the thing, but those people, they're trying to say, oh, those are the bad cops. No, everyone that allowed that to happen is a bad cop. All those are bad cops. So, like, why are people, that's another thing, like, why do you think that the force is that strong that, like, you have to ride for the people, or the people, your coworkers that hardly, that you have to watch them commit murder and not say anything? Like, do you think the blue is that strong?
I think that it's groupthink. And I remember we during some training I was doing for work, we did like this study where like they would ask us these questions, and everybody had like the little buzzer, right? And you know, because you got the buzzer, you don't really know what people are gonna think or who said what. So then you start looking at the answers to the questions, and you see a lot more variation in handling situations when nobody knows exactly what you would do. It was one of those things like if somebody left $100,000 in your car and they had no way of finding out that you kept it and you could get away with it, would you keep it?
Yeah.
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 Run that.
Yeah.
I need that.
All that.
So like, but you know, if we were asked that in a public forum amongst coworkers and you got to raise your hand, you gonna say, nah, I wouldn't do that because you don't want to You don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, I got a story to one of my friend did the exact opposite of groupthink, but he should have just went with the group probably. So like I remember at Cornell they were asking like, cause like there was a string of like domestic violence going on and like situations between men and women. So they were asking men what would they do if they saw this going on the street. Everybody's like, well, you know, I'd go step in, say something. My boy goes, keep walking? That ain't got nothing to do with me. He said, I'm gonna mind my fucking business. He was like, I know what she did to make him want to hit her. I was like, damn. I don't think you can say that to a bunch of females, bro.
But the thing is, the thing that we have, like once one person breaks groupthink,
yeah,
other people will start being honest because it was a similar situation. We were at work one day talking about the situation. You go to a bar, you meet a chick, right?
Yeah.
You've had like 3 or 4 drinks, you know, but you've been there for like 3-4 hours. You are over the legal limit to drink, but you are fine functionally to drive.
Yeah.
And the chick is like, hey, look, I want to go home with you, but you got to drive my car home because I got to go to work in the morning. I'm not going to leave my car at the bar. And people were like, oh, yeah, I would just wouldn't take her home. And I'm like, y'all full of shit because y'all done drove further or less.
What?
And then what? Once I said it out loud, then the conversation goes, yeah, I probably would. I'm like, yep. I know you would because I would. I'm like, hold on. I done had like 4 drinks. I've been here for 4 hours.
I got something ready right now.
I should be able to legally drive. I know I can functionally drive because if you've been drinking for as long as I've been drinking, 0.08. That ain't shit. Again, not advocating drinking and driving, but understand that you know you got something warm waiting on you, baby. You get to act. Niggas drive home drunk by themselves.
Yeah, all the time. All the time.
So, yeah. It really just takes somebody to break that groupthink, and then it creates momentum. It really does create momentum. People are just afraid to be the one person who steps out and takes that leap of faith.
Momentum is real. Momentum is real. People, because you find that a lot of people feel this way, but like you said, not a lot of people want to be the first one or attach their names to it or be that guy like that steps out of line first. But what you find is that like it's like when someone like it's like sexual assault cases. Like they say, people have a pattern. So as soon as that one victim comes, it's always more victims and more people that speak out, and that's like once one person jumps off the ledge, well, there'll be more people that come out. And I think people are tired of this, though. I mean, it has to, because what's the alternative? I think people are fed up. I think people are really, really ready to start shooting back at cops, fighting back. Like,
that's scary.
I think that is the next. Yeah, I think that people are reaching that. I mean, I saw a post today of like just over the past 2 years of all the black. It was like a bunch. It was like 30, 40 black people that had just been like. It was like a long post of names. I'm like, yeah, this is gonna make people want to fight back. This is gonna want to make people and then they had the status of what happened to these people. So it was like their name. It was like George Zimmerman, free, whoever next, free, fired, suspended with pay. Like. No, but nobody really. None of them had prison. Charged with, convicted of murder, sentenced to prison, life in prison. No, I didn't see that on any one of them.
It's really sad, and I think these instances are what the Second Amendment exists for. So for all you gun-toting people, right? Talk about my rights, my guns. It's the Second Amendment is really for this right here. When you feel. Again, my interpretation of the Second Amendment is that when you feel that your government is not providing the protection that you need for yourself, that you have to physically arm yourself in a way that you can ensure that the people, not just you, but the people in the community are being protected.
Yeah.
But again, if a cop is willing to shoot you, kill you, unarmed, I am afraid to see what would happen if you pull that thing on them, because if you're like,
I mean, if you feel like you're gonna get shot anyways, I might as well go down shooting back. I don't want to just go down running away and they shoot me in the back, or like yeah, I want to go back guns blazing. At least I gave myself a chance at that point. If I feel like personally you're gonna gun me down, if we reach that point where you just feel like cops are gonna gun you down anyways, yeah, why wouldn't you start shooting back at them? Why wouldn't you start holding and shooting back?
I don't have an argument for that.
Yeah, and I hope we never reach that point in a society. Yeah. I hope we never reach that point, but it's like people are upset though. Like something has to be done. Like I don't know. People keep saying it's training. Maybe it's people. I think it's people. I think it's hiring. I keep hearing people say training. Okay, maybe training is a part of it, but who are we hiring? What kind of people are we hiring? Are we hiring the people that give off that I get an ego trip up vibe with some power, that if once I get a low authority under my belt, like what kind of people are we hiring? People that really want to be in the community to affect change and help the community? Or are we hiring fucking like bad boy cop that just always wanted to be a cop his whole life to arrest and shoot at people?
And so it's coupling of training and people. For one, I think way too many people who ran cross country and sat in the back of class are cops and in the military because they got picked on their whole life. They couldn't stick their chest out and be the man that they wanted to be. So they need a uniform, they need a badge, they need a gun on their hip to be the adult man that they want to be. I think that's part of it. But then there is a piece to the training where you're taught to dehumanize the target, right?
Yeah.
And that's more military-based training, but it's to dehumanize the target. You practice you practice training on human targets so you can get comfortable pulling your weapon on something that reminds you of a human, right? Because
Okay.
in war, obviously you're shooting humans. And I think that training is for, in some ways it's helpful for when you actually need it. Because if you are threatened and you need to shoot a motherfucker, you don't need to have second thoughts.
Cops aren't in Iraq though. Cops aren't in war.
So give me a second.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the police force, I just think there needs to be a line drawn, because I think cops spend too much time policing and crime fighting and not just protecting and serving the communities.
Yeah.
And I was having a conversation. I usually don't speak on people's names when I talk about like conversations I've had, whether they were public or privately. But I was having a conversation with Dustin Johnson on one of his statuses about moving forward. What do we do next? And he says that we should allow our communities to police themselves. How does that sit with you?
Police themselves in what fashion? Like individual people, like just me and you help police the people around us? Like everyone polices the next man?
Yes. Based
Nah.
on my perception of the conversation, I didn't ask for like the full layout of it, but that's what I gathered from it.
I'm not one for vigilante justice. Because then you draw no line in the sand. Because now, if I feel justified in what I'm doing, that's how I justify it. Like that's the people that killed Ahmaud Arbery. Like that's how they justify it. Like we thought he was breaking the law. We took the justice into our hands, and yeah, we shot him. But so I don't agree with vigilante justice. There has to be some decisive line between cops and people, or people that arrest people and other people, or people that hold people. Yeah, you can hold people responsible, or hold people accountable for actions, but like, yeah, I don't. Yeah, I've never been one for vigilante justice. I think it will create too much chaos.
And that kind of takes me back to some of my early political theory readings, like reading like the Leviathan and the Second Treatise of Government, and like how, look, man, people need structure.
Yes.
We all need structure to some degree, right? I think we may have too much structure like where we are now. I hear what Tyler Blackman is talking about in the comments, and I will not speak publicly on that because I've read the Constitution a couple of times, and I don't touch certain topics, but I feel where we're coming from. I just think there needs to be. I mean, it's too much structure, but I do believe there needs to be some structure. But speaking of, like, let's get back to our community, right?
Okay.
I think, there's a couple things that go against us when we talk about the looting and stuff. The media takes that narrative and they run with it, and it deflects from the real issue, right? Just like with kneeling, it became disrespectful to veterans, which I know a lot of veterans, and I'm going to tell you, not many felt disrespected by it.
Yeah.
But I think in the Black community, we have a crabs in the barrel mentality where we will fight each other on our own issues, but we'll put more effort into fighting one another and to fighting instead of fighting who we're actually upset at. And I think it goes to a way of thinking that we inherently think lesser of ourselves because of post-traumatic slavery syndrome. Now, I took that from my guy, Jew Turner. That's his take, but I totally agree with it. How do you feel about that?
I think that's part of it. That is definitely a big part of it. I just also too that we need, like you said, I think another part of it too is that people think rapping, like you said, entertainment, sports, that's it. No one is seeing like the black Marvel comic guy. No one is seeing the black guy that does the weird thing. No one is seeing the black. So like, I think it's also giving us more opportunities. I think that's like, as a black, I know a lot of people in communities that just feel like they have no hope, they have no chance. So they just perpetuate that cycle. Like, I'm just gonna go do what they did. Like, this is all I see, this is all I know, this is all I can do. And I think like reinvesting back into our communities, going just investing, putting our time. I think that's a big thing too. Putting our time into our community, sitting down with these kids, talking with these kids. Like, yeah, it's more than just, hey, I wrote a check. It's more. It's like, what are you like? Giving them a story, giving them to have something to look up to, giving them to have something to strive towards. And I think that is a lot. I think black people as a whole, we just also have like a selfish mentality. As we get more successful, it becomes more about us, and it becomes less about the people of the community I came from and the people that helped me to get to where I am. And and I'm not gonna lie, I find myself in this sometimes. Like, dang, I can't go. I'm trying to do my own thing right now. I don't have time to go do this, time to go do that, time to go to this event, and like, but it's like I'm a young man. I want to live vibrant. I'm trying to live free and wild. But it's like you got to start making time for the things that you're passionate about and that you care about, and that would ultimately affect change. And I think, yeah, if I could just be one voice that goes back and talk to the community, and maybe get more voices that like, hey, these are some different things that we did and that we went through, and that how we got to the level we did. Like, this is how we did it. Now, let us mentor y'all. Let us talk to y'all. Come to us if you have issues. Making time for someone else, I think that will also help play a big part into just furthering our community.
Yeah, it's really the selfish thing. It's crazy because a lot of times we don't want to see somebody shine unless we're shining.
Yeah.
It's okay for somebody to be shining as long as I'm on top. But if I'm not on top, it's not okay. I remember one of my friends in high school, 16th birthday, right? Indian. Parents, friends, and it's a story I was told, right? Parents, friends, for the 16th birthday, they all like throw in, get the motherfucker a car, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh wow, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Like, you putting your discretionary income in to help out your people, and then they return the favor, and it's a cyclical thing. So it's like,
Yeah.
like I remember this guy I worked with, his brother was talking about opening up a nail salon. He was like, oh yeah, like instead of him having to go like get a loan from the bank, I was able to like loan him this amount of money. So I got them loaned him this so he could go flip it and bring it back. And outside of some drugs, who's doing that in our community?
That's the only thing they allow him to be flipped and brought back.
Like, it's bad, but it's like so many legitimate things that we could do together that we don't, which is why, like, it's crazy that in the past 2 years, the people who I've met and really like brought into my close circle, like I really rock with them, like my boy Chew, who in the comments, like my homeboy Wayne and Candace, like we sit in a group text all day, every day, coming up with these different ideas and how we can help each other be great together. Like, shit, I get mad at you all the time because he has the best picture ever taken in my shirt. But it's like, hey, my guy be out in the streets like promoting my shit because he loves what it is, and it's all out of love. And if we can build more circles like that, just supporting each other off the scrimp of, hey, I respect you, I see what you're doing, and I like it. That's where the shit comes from, man. I just think, I don't know how we can change people's minds to be selfless, but once you get to a place in life where you have a living wage and you understand that you're not trying to survive anymore.
I think that's a lot of it.
Then you can actually start helping other people and looking out for them.
Yeah, like you said, but when you're only making so much and you only have so much, it's so hard to tell that person to help the other person, the next man, when you're in a strict survival mode for yourself. Like,
and that's the thing. I'm not gonna ask somebody who's trying to survive I'm not gonna try to tell anybody who's trying to survive what they need to do, because at the end of the day, as human beings, we have to survive. And if you're making $15,000 a year, I'm not gonna say, hey man, can we get like $10 a month for you for this? Yeah. No, man, you got to make something shake, baby.
Yeah.
So, and another thing on the crabs in the barrel and the coons conversation, right? I have a huge problem with the word coon, right?
Yeah.
I think that it's important to identify identify people who may not have our racist best interests at heart, who are Black people, but at the same time, I don't expect everyone to want to make life better for the whole. That's fine. But I think when we call out some of our people who think differently from us, I just really think that's toxic, because what's the benefit of it? If you're calling people out for being coons, even when they are, what does that benefit if you aren't going to have a conversation about how you can educate them to become better?
Okay, that was a lot to unpack. Let me unpack. I think. Okay, yeah, but you do have to hold people accountable though, and
Okay.
sometimes you can do that without name calling. But hey, I think sometimes niggas is coons. It is what it is. I think sometimes some people really just go straight on TV and sell out. Know exactly what they like. They're not just have a difference in opinion. Like they know what they are doing. They're going right on TV and like some of the people they bring on Fox sometimes. Those people are cooning. They go on TV and sell out. Like they go on TV and like say things. I'm like, nah, man, you can't go say that. You can't go as a Black man. You cannot go.
You leaving the camera.
Oh, my fault. Oh, my foot. But so yeah, I think. But like, so is that like? Are you saying people shouldn't have held Gayle? Or were you mad about what people were saying about Gayle King and Oprah?
Fuck no. Fuck Oprah. Fuck Gayle.
But I mean, they're Black women. Shouldn't we? Why are we like?
And
they're
again,
Black women in power positions that represent a portion of us as a people. Like what? No,
they got that sound pack in their back. And I guess I struggle with it when people are being attacked for being different.
I think you can have a difference in opinion and, like you said, make a rational argument and bring facts to the table on why this makes sense. Like,
but I'll say holding people accountable, like the Gayles and the Oprahs of the world. Like, I think it is very important to hold them accountable. But
do you think we're harder on our? And it gets to the point. Are we harder on our own people than we are other people? Why are we so much harder? Why are we so much harder? Or let me phrase it in question form. Why are we so much harder on our own people than we are other people?
I think because we have so few voices who who people hear and people respect, that we set a high bar for those people.
Yeah.
And when that bar is not met, we have to hold them accountable, because look, you the nigga who gets to talk and they listen to.
Yeah.
So I need you to say some good shit. Like, I don't need you out here cooning. Like, Oprah, if you're gonna call out R. Kelly, I'm okay with that, but I need you to call out your boy Weinstein too. Like, I need you to be consistent with what you're going to do when you're on this fight. And I may be double talking, because sometimes I do that because I get torn on stuff. And when you're torn on stuff, you waver sometimes. Sorry, I'm human. But it's I don't know, man. Like I say, I struggle with it because, like, dog, I don't give a fuck what Oprah has to say. She means nothing to me. Like, after I read a biography on Oprah in high school, I wrote Oprah off because she created a sob story to make people rally around her that was not totally true. And that's a lot of how she gained her prominence.
Okay. Yeah. But no, I get it. Yeah. Like you said, I struggle with that too. Like, because I feel like I'm tougher on my own people, and I hate when I see my own people like messing up, because like we can't do this. We aren't allowed the same opportunities and same chances. You don't get multiple times to mess up when you're a Black male. You don't get multiple times to like figure things out. Like, no, you gotta listen to what people are telling you and learn on the fly. Like, so that's why I think I hold my people's fire to the feet so much more, because I want to see us do better.
That's real. So a question that's kind of in the same realm, right? And it kind of stems from watching The Last Dance and some of the stuff that comes to MJ for not being involved in the community. For one, we've already talked about how we feel about entertainers being our voices, but when you are Michael Jordan and you know you have such a strong voice that people hear and respect, do you feel like people in those positions have an obligation to become well read and well versed into the issues that affect our communities to be that spokesperson?
No, I don't feel like they're obligated to. But I feel like in Michael Jordan's day, it didn't take a hit to your credit. You didn't take a hit for it off the basketball court. He still was selling the highest. He's grossing the highest off his sneakers. Like he's still making a bunch of money. Like so, it didn't tear him down to not speak out against it. Whereas today, I think you more so have to be like if LeBron James wasn't who he was or talking like he was, the Steph Currys, those kind of people, that adds to their brand. That makes people now want to buy their stuff more. And I think you have to do that in these times. Whereas in Michael Jordan's day, you really didn't have to do that. And I think they really didn't want to do that. I think back in their day, they really just wanted to play basketball or play their sport. They didn't really want to. They didn't want to take on the political structure as much as the athletes do in today's game. I think.
All right, cool. So I'm going to pivot here. We're going to kind of make the conversation a bit more political, right?
Okay.
And we were talking about blind support of political candidates, right?
Yeah.
So I lean left, you lean left, and you know that oftentimes puts us in a position to vote for Democrats, and the party kind of expects us to vote for them no matter what. I gave my thoughts on the whole Joe Biden piece, trying to tell me I ain't black. Fuck you, white man. Can't tell me that shit. And but how do you feel about the blind support of the Democratic Party?
Yeah, so I actually read some today that they think Joe Biden's plan of action should be to double down on it. Like, all right, then, fuck it. Who you gonna vote for, Trump? Like, yeah, I said it. Like, double down on it, and I feel like he just said what black people say to each other, because so. I mean, in our experiences, if you were as a black man told someone you vote Republican, how do people instantly look at you?
Sell out.
You rich, you no good. So he's just saying what black people say to each other. I mean, is he the voice to say it? No, but I mean, we say that to each other anyways, and he's just saying how they look at it. So, I mean, I don't. It's terrible that he said it. I think he's so out of touch. I think it's terrible that him and Trump are only two candidates, and that's all we have to pick from. But unfortunately, that is the realization of a lot of it. That he realizes, like, yeah, I can pretty much say damn near what I want, and no black person is gonna go, oh yeah, I voted for Trump at the cookout. Like, that's not happening. That's not happening either.
So for the people who are saying that, hey, look, the black vote's not going to be guaranteed to you just because you've gotten it every year, how do you feel about that approach?
They're saying it's not guaranteed to him, as in we're not gonna go show out and vote, but they're not saying we're gonna go vote for the other side. So that just means Trump gonna win. I don't understand, like, because unless they're willing to say, hey, we're willing to cross over and go vote for Trump, because I know, and I think Trump is going to capitalize on this. He's probably going to put out something that's like, Joe Biden's trying to tell you how you can be black, and I think he will put out something for black people, like something that, hey, this is what I've done for black people, this is how I've helped black people since I've been in office, and people are going to start looking at it like, hey, and unless we're willing to actually take votes from them and put them on the other side, not show up, put them on the other side, then Democrats will always be, we got the people of color vote. We don't have to really do anything for them. They're going to vote for us because they're not going to vote the other way, or they're going to be a sellout.
So a lot of people are calling for a black agenda, and in pre-production we talked about it's like, what's the point of, as a politician, a national level politician, especially in a presidential race,
yeah,
what is the point of having a black agenda? And let me just break it down for people listening before they say, oh, AC said we don't need a black agenda.
Yeah.
Pause. It's the people who are like, you know, because we talked about it, like, look, if I have 95 to 98% of your community voting for me without me doing anything specific for you all, why would I build an agenda for you? as the opposite party, like y'all don't fuck with me no way.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to get y'all to cross over, and we still are doing all right for ourselves. So how do you, if there were a black agenda, what items do you think should be on that black agenda?
Mm, I would start with the reinvestment into black communities. I think anytime you can raise the poverty level and raise people out of poverty, that's always gonna lead to more successful people. Uh, what what else would I like to? Like you said, I never really thought about a black agenda because I never really thought we were gonna get a black agenda. So it's never been at the forefront of something I thought about because we was I mean they're just gonna promise us something and they're gonna say all these things and it's never gonna get done. It's never gonna happen.
I'll tell you where I've struggled most with the black agenda is how can you create this blanket agenda that helps me and then helps some of my friends who are still back home and are in a different financial situation.
Yeah, all black people aren't equally in the same positions. All black people are like live in the same communities. Like unless you, just, yeah, I don't know. That's why I always struggle. Like I know what things I personally would like to see, but my needs may be. I may have some things that other black people don't even care about. Cause like, wait, nigga, we're worried about what we're gonna eat tomorrow. We're worried about paying our bills. Like we're worried about like you have time to stress about other shit that we haven't thought about. Cause we have real life everyday struggles that we're dealing with.
And that's one of the things that is so scary about what goes on is the people who need to be the most politically active, the voice that need to be heard the most, they don't even have time to put that out there. They don't have time to listen and really digest what's going on. They don't have time to read and become more educated because a lot of these people are just trying to survive.
Yeah. And yeah, and like I said, man, I don't even like the construct of political parties anymore. I want to tear that all down too. I want a free for all because I think just having I was talking to someone about this the other day. Just having a two party system just makes you subject to like certain ideals that you might not believe, certain things like but you have to follow along because you're either going to be this or you're going to be that. And I think we should just tear it all down, let people run, and let the best guy win. Let everyone run as they run, and let everyone give their ideas and what they think that should be ran, and how they think the country should best be ran. And let's vote off their ideas and their things they want to do, like not just because he falls within my party lines.
Yeah. So I agree, but too bad that's never gonna happen because
yeah, never gonna happen.
It's never gonna, so. I think now where we're at, right? Both parties have gone so far radical in their own beliefs, right? So far left, so far right, that most people are isolated in the middle with no true home.
Yeah.
And I think now is a time for, there you go, Brian Crane, a party of mainstream Americans, moderate people, rational thinking people to come together because most of us agree on 70% of the issues, but we feel differently about welfare,
abortion,
LGBTQ, FTSOOP rights. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a few hot button things that make us go left or right. You know what I'm saying? Maybe taxes, but for the most part, we believe the same thing. Hold on, Brian Crane. Sorry, I had to do that.
But yeah, and I agree. But the only problem is you can just call them hot button things. You can only just call them 30%. But those 30% or make up 90% of people's beliefs. Because if you're religious or 100%, if you're a Christian, you ain't budging on that no abortion, that 30%. You ain't budging on that one. Like, so it's gonna be hard to meet you in the middle.
Hey, I'm a Christian, and I say, hey, your body, you do what you want to with it. None of my business.
We're very rational thinking people. I don't want to intrude my beliefs on you, but there are a lot of Christian people I follow that are just like, abortion is always wrong. Those people are murderers. They should be locked up. They're killers. Like, I'm just like, no, they're not. No, they're not.
So yeah, I saw your post last weekend about abortion, which kind of got us talking and kind of directed us towards pod, man. And
Yeah.
what are some of your takeaways from that conversation?
Uh, Women are sluts. They should keep their legs closed. It's your fault, woman. As a man, you need to come get my consent before you get rid of that baby. Like all types of wild shit, bro. Like, and it's again, I don't want to be too. It's rough. We're two men right now on a podcast discussing abortion. Cool. Like, I mean, people are gonna look at it, but I mean, we both have very like forward-thinking views on it, and I think that and I think the main point I wanted to make from my post is that women should support other women in their decision making, even if you disagree with that decision. Just because as soon as you let the government come in and start telling, so I learned from the post, the government already directs women when they can have their tubes tied. So they tell you if you try to get your tube tied too young, they'll tell you no. Or like they won't let you unless you have a certain amount of kids. So I didn't know that. So they already regulate when you can get your tubes tied, and now they're gonna regulate if like you or your body on you carrying a baby for 9 months having it. So like, are you as a woman, even if you disagree with abortion, are you okay with someone infringing on women's rights that much? Is this what women were fighting for all this time for you guys to advance? Just for some man to come in and take all those rights away that you guys have fought for over 100 years? Like, and so I don't think they realize that when you disagree with these women, you're not just disagreeing on abortion. You're telling them though, like somebody else has the right to regulate your body, which then can be turned on you. So like, what if I want to install tracking chips in you? Like, you said you've allowed us to come in and tell us when you can have babies. So why not go a step further? Why not keep pushing the envelope? So yeah, I think it becomes a dangerous slope when you start trying to backtrack things that were passed in the 70s to help advance women. Now you guys want to go back and fight those? Like, I think that gets into a very dangerous, slippery slope.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's weird. And I'll tell you, not two things I'm gonna say that's not popular. Women are some of the biggest haters in the world. Like, just don't support each other. Like, I joke all the time and say most women don't have friends. Their friends are their significant others' girlfriends.
Yep.
Wives. Like the sense of loyalty that you see amongst men in crews that have been together 10, 15, 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
You don't see that as often with women. And that right there in itself, I think, plays out in these different conversations. Because it's y'all end up attacking one another instead of supporting each other's mind. Just, hey, respect my mind. That's all it is. Like, I can disagree with you and move forward. Like, there's nothing like being in a room with a bunch of dudes and there's like only two girls. And both of them like two bad girls, and the way they try to make sure that they are the baddest joint in the room. And don't get me wrong, guys, we try to set ourselves apart, but there's a difference in the way we go about it. And maybe that's me being sexist and talking. It wouldn't be the first time someone's told me I'm a sexist. And I have a misogynistic podcast, so hey.
Yeah. But no, I think you're very much right with that, though. Yeah, I agree with you on that 100%. I don't know what it is. Like, yeah, like you said, like you can look very two clear examples of that. You still run with a lot of the same guys you did in high school, your same clique, Ty, Trevor, like your clique. And I'm still with my same guys like Nero, RJ, like Brandon, like we stay guys, like we stay together. We mold, we grow. We may disagree, we fight, but like you said, women are petty when it comes to arguments, man. Like they block them. I gotta block you on Instagram. I gotta delete all my pictures of you. Like I've never broken up with someone and gone back and like I need to delete every picture I got with this person. Like no, it's a memory. It's something that happened. There's a point in time. Like. But no, women feel they have to go to the pettiest of routes.
Yeah, and even more so, the funny thing is like we had our crew. Y'all was like the young niggas who was the next crew up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then before us, there was a crew of niggas. It was like Tyler, Terrence, VJ, them, like that crew. we was like, that was them. Then once their time was over, then like we kind of moved up, and niggas all had mutual respect for one another.
Yeah.
And then like now we all blend together, and it's always love when we see each other, even when niggas wasn't even like tight and close and shit like that.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I think that was like just my point. Like, I don't want to be a man speaking on women issues just because it doesn't really affect me at the end of the day. Like, I can't get pregnant. I can't, like, so it doesn't affect. But I just wanted to understand why women just aren't supporting other women. Like, if anything, it still helps advance your gender. Like, you guys are fighting for equal rights. You guys are fighting. Like, no man. That's what I tried to convey to them. I was like, no white male would ever let you come in their house and tell them when they can and cannot have kids. Like, when they can and cannot get the vasectomy. Nobody, no male is letting you do that. So why are you as a female okay letting males regulate your body this much? Like, that was the part that didn't understand. That didn't make sense to me.
Because men are decision makers.
Man, hey, women need us to be they need us to make those decisions for them, huh?
Hey, look here. If you need a decision maker, I'm here for you. Look, we're almost at an hour and a half, so we'll start wrapping this up. So let's just talk about a few solutions, right?
Yeah.
And ways that we can advance and move forward, because I think that's important. Just some lasting things that we can put out here on this podcast, but also things that we can take with us when we go back to our people, when we get back on our group text and stuff like that. So we can try to create things that create progress.
Yeah. So a good solution, I think, like you said, is getting cops into the community. How do we do that? Send them to schools. Send them to elementary school. Start them young. Send the local captain or sheriff. Send a couple of the guys there. Teach them on how to have interactions with cops. Teach them what's okay. Teach them and like follow up with them like in middle school, high school. Just let them have these interactions. So the first time they interact with a cop isn't a high pressure situation where you may be getting pulled over or you may be something like that. Like you've already been around cops. You feel comfortable. Like you're okay. So I think that is like an easy fix that we can start now that helps build relations. And then, like you said, cops now have seen little Johnny since he was a second grader till now little Johnny's graduating high school. So now if Johnny starts getting in trouble down the path, the cop have seen him grow. Like, okay, I want to help Johnny. I don't want to just lock him up. I want to see him do better. And so, like you said, now they start building these ties and these connections, and now we know each other. And now it's not just this is a suspect, you're a suspect. Now it's like, no, this is a friend that's in trouble that I need to help out.
Agreed. And I think one important thing you said when we talked about the allies, I think we're going to sign off on this one, that it's so important to have allies who not only take the information that they see and discuss it amongst their black friend or their black friends, you know, the people who they know they can have that conversation with, but allow themselves to become uncomfortable and speak to the people in their circles who aren't as open-minded, who don't want to necessarily hear the message, who are avoiding it and don't have the human interactions, who don't have the experiences with people, with oppressed black people, and try to spread that message to them so they don't continue to oppress or raise young oppressors.
I agree, man. Thanks for having me on today.
Hey, no problem. Look, I'm going to end the broadcast, but don't sign off yet.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for being here, Twan. We definitely going to have to do this again. Thanks for everybody who watched. Hey, make sure y'all follow, like, share, all of that stuff. Free Big Baby the Goat at Instagram, bigbabythegoat.com. All of my podcasts, you can find them there. Apple, Spotify, motherfucking YouTube. All the links will be out. Link in bio. Again, thanks, Twan. Big Baby at